It is an honor for me to introduce this evening's keynote speaker, a leader with the same commitment to our surface Navy and our nation that we all have. Indeed, he is one of us. He began the Navy career as a surface warfare officer and served as the commanding officer of USS Bulkley, DDG 84. I refer to, of course, our Secretary of the Navy, the Honorable Carlos del Toro. Secretary del Toro is the best kind of public servant. He served 22 years in the Navy, and even after he retired, he could not leave us surface warriors too far behind. He started SBG Technology Solutions, helping our military with everything from shipbuilding and training to AI and cybersecurity. As the Secretary, he has laid out 4 critical priorities for the Navy Marine Corps team. He believes we must first address the Chinese naval ambitions. Second, climate-related instability. Third, COVID pandemic. And fourth, our naval culture. He is here today to tell us how we can help. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Admiral.
Thank you, sir.
In the words of the great Jackie Gleason, how sweet it is. Now, some of you may be thinking more about Gomer Pyle. Surprise, surprise, surprise. It is such a privilege to be here before you today, my beloved Surface Navy Association family. And I'm proud to be wearing my pin. Although Jim at the table, actually, who handed it to me here this evening, I reminded him that I was actually a lifelong SNA owner and member. And I encourage all of you to sign up for lifetime membership as well. Did I do well, Jim? Good. And I would like to, before I begin, also, my beloved spouse couldn't be here tonight. She's got babysitting duties. But my spouse, Betty, has been by my side for over 38 years now, and 22 and a half in the Navy, and 17 years in the private sector, which after being away from me for quite a bit of time in the Navy, 60 to 75% of my time probably, raised our 4 children. She was with me side by side in the private sector. She was our chief financial officer. I'll never admit that she worked for me. I worked for her. But we worked side by side for 17 years. When the opportunity came for me to become Secretary of the Navy, she was the first one to sign me up. So you're going to be working 12 to 16 hours in the Pentagon every day again, honey? Sign me up. So happy New Year to all our fellow surface Navy warfare officers and sailors and partners in industry. From everything that I've heard so far about this great convention, despite COVID, it's been an incredible gathering. On Tuesday, that I know you heard from the great Admiral Gilday, our Chief of Naval Operations, talk to you about all the different ways that we're making our surface fleet and our Navy more ready, more capable, and more lethal. You heard from Mick Pond-Smith, who I have tremendous respect for, about the strength of our deck plate leadership. And you heard from Admiral Schultz about our evolving partnership with the United States Coast Guard. He was just in my office just the other day asking me to build them more icebreakers. It was also great for me to walk the floor yesterday and personally meet with so many of you in industry. I think I hit every booth in those 3 hours. As you now know from my fellow speakers and from our Tri-Service Maritime Strategy that was released a little over a year ago, we are working more closely together than ever before along our shores and overseas. Tonight, I am eager again to add my voice to theirs as we continue this journey together. One of the several galvanizing themes defines this year's conference, and indeed it must continue to define our nation's strategic thinking as we look towards the Indo-Pacific and globally. That theme is the Surface Navy is back, stronger than ever, ever present, and ready to meet its mission. The Surface Navy is back and needs to remain at the center of our national security strategy. from the South China Sea to the Mediterranean, to the Black Sea, and to the Arabian Gulf. The Surface Navy is back, at the center of our maritime diplomacy, forging and strengthening bonds with allies and partners. And the Surface Navy is back, at the center of the joint force, forward deployed, ready, maneuverable, lethal, as called upon by a joint warfighting concept. Yet being so central to our nation's future is also a formidable responsibility. It means that we must hone our strategy. We must invest wisely, capitalize on our strengths, and be clear-eyed about our adversaries and the threats that we face. I'm confident that our Surface Navy is ready to shoulder this responsibility. Everywhere that I've gone as Secretary of the Navy, I see the increasing agility, the lethality, and the capability of our surface ships. But more importantly, and despite the obvious challenges that face our fleet today, and there are numerous challenges, I'm constantly struck by the high morale of our sailors and our Marines who serve aboard them. Right now, today, I watch this very closely. 135,000 sailors are on the operational sea duty, the highest levels since 2014. Right now, there are 58 commissioned ships deployed around the world, protecting our nation at sea. And despite what critics may say, today, in every theater, in every ship, our Navy Marine Corps team has a true and well-defined sense of mission. If you doubt me, you just ask the crew of the USS Mustin, DDG-89, who courageously and strategically shadowed the Chinese carrier Liaoning in the South China Seas. And by the way, Admiral, I need you to get me one of those patches. But let there be no doubt, there's much to be done in the months and the years ahead. We must first better understand our adversaries, both tactically and strategically, and set in motion a practical and a realistic strategy to deter them, and if necessary, to prevail over them. We must prioritize our investments to address current and emerging threats. The pace of technology and the change that it comes with it requires constant progress and innovation. That also requires more resources, both to maintain a high operational tempo today and to build for the future. It's great to be able to do more with less. We need more resources to accomplish our mission. It also demands that we make tough choices along the way. As Secretary of the Navy, I vow to you that I will fight every day for more resources for our Navy and Marine Corps team to make still greater contributions to our joint warfighting concept in every single domain. We know our competitors are making those same investments as we speak. The People's Liberation Army Navy now has the world's largest fleet with over 350 ships. And with its accelerating shipbuilding program, that number is likely to exceed 450 by the end of the decade. Perhaps even more concerning is Beijing's testing and eventual production of hypersonic missiles. For the first time since the Cold War, we have a strategic competitor with naval capabilities that truly rival our own. As a nation, we must face up to the reality now and make the necessary investments today to deter Beijing in every possible manner. Yet, as recent events have proven, Beijing is not our only concern. I began my surface warfare career chasing Kilo and Akula-class submarines around the Mediterranean and chasing surface ships around the Black Sea. Now Russia's unrelenting aggression has once more turned the Black Sea and Eastern Europe into a cauldron of hostility that demands our attention. These are just some of the threats proving our surface Navy has never been more relevant in protecting America's interests. When we, in this room, speak to others, we should be crystal clear about what protecting America's interests means. Today, all Americans need to understand that the oceans are the lifeblood of our global economy. The Navy protects those oceans. It's not a hyperbole to say that America's economy, and indeed our global economy, relies on the actions and the decisions of those who man those ships and attend this conference. And the impact today is greater than ever. When I was a young surface warfare officer, again back in 1990, the world had one fiber optic cable under the water. Today, there are more than 400, carrying 97% of international communications, responsible for over $1 trillion in financial transactions every single day. Global shipping on the seas has nearly tripled from 4 billion tons in 1990 to 11 billion tons in 2020. And shipping in the Arctic has increased by over 400% in just the past 3 years. Overall, 90% of global trade now travels on the ocean through vital sea lanes protected by our naval forces and those of our allies. So you can thank our Navy when Amazon brings the package to your door. It happens often in my household. But our impact on the global economy is measured in more than just packages on our front doorstep. It's measured in livelihoods and in GDP. $5.4 trillion of annual U.S. commerce and 31 million American jobs depend on ocean-going trade. Our economy, our prosperity, our security have always been linked to the seas and defined us as a maritime power from the very beginnings of our nation's history. That is why our nation needs a strong Navy Marine Corps team. I don't understand how some Americans don't get it, but it's our responsibility to get that word out to them. That's why we must always have an ever-present, postured and persistent surface fleet and Navy ready to deter aggression and defend the sea lanes wherever called upon well into the future. That's why we must have greater resources to both maintain an effective Navy Marine Corps team today and also build a stronger one for tomorrow. As Secretary of the Navy, I am excited about the ships, manned and unmanned, and weapons platforms that we will acquire in the years ahead. The lethality, the maneuverability, and the technology on warships, like the future frigate Constellation class, even make me long for command at sea again, as long as I don't have to give up my current job. I envy all of you junior officers and young department heads who serve in these most exciting of times on these great, fabulous ships that we're building today. But we must also see these investments through with the right maintenance and operational resources throughout their entire service life. It's one thing to build a ship. It's another thing to pay for the operations, the sustainment, the maintenance, and the people that go along on those ships. We must check unnecessary rising operations, maintenance, and sustainment costs. Industry has a very important role to play in that. Thanks to Admiral Lesher, Performance to Plan initiative, we have cut maintenance delays in private shipyards nearly 20%. We've actually done quite a bit in the last few years. In fact, overall maintenance delays have been reduced by 41% since 2019. In the last year alone, we have cut our manning gaps at sea in half. These are just a small sampling of how P2P's Get Real, Get Better effort is driving genuine, measurable improvement in the fleet. And that just doesn't happen. That's a result of all the dedicated effort, day in and day out, of all the surface warfare officers and many other officers throughout the Navy here in this room who've dedicated themselves to this cause over the last several years. Today, more than ever, as described yesterday, we use data analytics to anticipate and solve problems before they happen. And if we fall short anywhere in the department, we respond with a strong sense of urgency, transparency, accountability, and a determination to learn and improve from our lessons. Thanks to this very rigorous approach, our ships are more ready and available for tasking with better safety procedures and certifications. However, these results are only possible because of the investments that we are also making in our people, our sailors. They now have access to better education, better training, and advancement opportunities at sea. We were talking about just at our table how different the actual Navy that I grew up is compared to today. They are operating with excellence and skill alongside counterparts from our allies and partners. And I've seen this firsthand just in the short time I've been Secretary of the Navy. This fall, I visited with sailors and Marines from the USS Ronald Reagan, forward deployed in Japan. They had just completed a 5-month deployment executing missions with sailors from Japan, Singapore, India, Pakistan, France, Germany, and the UK. Can I ask our allies and partners to please stand and be recognized here in this room? Thank you. Last year, our sailors worked alongside other navies in dozens of exercises, including Malabar in the Indo-Pacific, Steadfast Defender with our NATO allies, and UNITAS in our own hemisphere. USS Mount Whitney sailed alongside Bulgarian, Romanian, Turkish, Ukrainian navies, and the Georgian Coast Guard in the Black Sea. And USS Herschel Woody Williams circumnavigated Africa, conducting port calls around the continent. And we're building more of those ships. That's a level of cooperation and naval diplomatic engagement that neither China nor Russia can ever hope for and will never achieve. Collective organizations like NATO, strategic partnerships like the Quad, and trilateral agreements like AUKUS preserve peace and security at sea. These agreements also encourage other nations to pursue the path of cooperation and prosperity together. This is naval diplomacy at its very best, rooted in friendship, not coercion, values, not vulnerability, respect, and not fear. As China and Russia continue to demonstrate contempt for international norms and free democratic nations, such as those threatened today, I can't mention them, our fleet forms the vanguard of allied conventional deterrence. Our fleet is at the pointy end of the spear, backed by the weight of true alliances and partnerships. The United States Navy has been crucial to the stability and security that has defined the high seas since World War II, particularly in the Pacific. And today, the surface fleet is the centerpiece of the joint forces warfighting readiness, integrated deterrence, and allied assurance. That's the message that I will take to Capitol Hill this budget season. We need to keep building the right platforms with the right capabilities in greater numbers for tomorrow's fight. And the American people are with us in this effort. Don't let them tell you that they're not. Just last month, a Gallup poll, quarterly survey, showed that Americans consider the Navy the most important military service for national defense. And when you combine the Navy and the Marine Corps together, that recognition is even stronger. The American people know the same thing you all know, that our sailors, our Marines, and our civilians protect the shorelines, the sea lanes, and our very way of life, as I just said. As the surface Navy is back at the center of our security needs, it is our responsibility to ensure it is back at the center of our national priorities. Every warship must contribute to our global posture, our distributed power, and our integrated deterrence in the most efficient and effective way possible. Admiral Gilday's initial order stated it best. Mission 1, for every sailor, uniformed and civilian, active and reserve, is the operational readiness for today's Navy. That must be the mission for everyone in this conference as well. As I said earlier, and the CNO said on Tuesday, it all starts with a culture of warfighting excellence, rooted in integrity, accountability, and respect. We must train our sailors and officers to defend our freedoms in times of peace and to fight wars when called upon. There is no greater responsibility than that. I know the excellence of every surface warfare officer here because I have been in your shoes. I know the skill of every government official here because I am in your shoes. I know the commitment of every industry partner here today because I have also been in your shoes. And I look forward to our work together, as it is an honor to work alongside those who share our commitment to our beloved Navy and Marine Corps now and long into the future. So yes, keep the lines of communications open. Keep challenging assumptions together, and keep challenging your department of the Navy to do better. From my 17 years as a business owner, I know how motivated our private sector partners are to help build our edge against our potential adversaries. My goal and promise to you is to build true partnerships where we understand each other's needs, each other's limitations, and each other's goals. That's why I'm holding town meetings with industry partners to hear about the challenges they're having doing business with the department and how they can do more to help us. In November, I met with IT and ship maintenance suppliers right here in Arlington. Last week, I again met with professional services and logistics partners in Beaufort, South Carolina. We owe it to the taxpayer to ensure money is spent effectively and efficiently. We owe it to all who serve to ensure you are prepared, trained, and equipped for your missions. And we owe it to the families who serve at our service members' side as well. And they will also be my first priority, even under the most difficult of times and challenges. Our Navy, our nation, and our world depends on the success of our surface fleet. We have always been challenged, always, by limited resources, unexpected crises, evil adversaries, and even occasional rust on surface ships. It shows a little bit of character. Yet, we always rise to the occasion. My promise to you is that we will continue to do so. Always bold, always taking care of our people, always transparent to the American public, and always resolute in meeting our mission. I know we are up to the task because I know the caliber of officers and sailors on every ship in our fleet. I know we are up to this task because of the investments that we make in people, platforms, and technologies. And most of all, I know we are up to the task because the Surface Navy is back, stronger than ever. Let me close by thanking all of you for your support for those sailors and Marines as they protect our nation at sea. And to all who wear the uniform today, may God bless you, protect you and your families in this new year and beyond. Thank you so very much.